Hello again and welcome back to Right Man in the Wrong Place. My name is Luke Tatum. I react to music. I am very glad that you are here, choosing to spend some of your time with me. We're going to listen to some more Vocaloid music, or at least I think that's what we're doing. This is Hyper Reality Show by Utsu-P and featuring Hatsune Miku. So it's from the year 2020. I don't see an album name, but this was a donation request from Marukai 33. Thank you very, very much for the donation request. I super appreciate it. I'm excited to listen to more of this. I've been having a good time getting into the world of the Vocaloid, vocal synth music thing. And so Marukai said, "Hey, love to see you checking out some new Vocaloid music. I found your channel back when you started checking out Guilty Gear Strive. So hearing you listen to even more of the music we love is super exciting. I would really love to see you check out Hyper Reality Show by Utsu-P. I feel like maybe it's a bit more in your alley. Either way, love the videos. Keep at it. And always remember to take care of yourself as well. Mwah." So that, of course, is a reference to the song that we did the other day. What was the name of that song? Oh, shoot. Monitoring. So that was really fun. I actually, and I know this is a long intro, just skip ahead if you want to get to the song, but Hatsune Miku, this is a character that I have seen for many years all over the place, a bajillion times. I have never actually understood what that was, what it was from. So it turns out Hatsune Miku is actually a Vocaloid like thing. It's like that's what it is a vocal synth. Yamaha Corporation. I think it's Yamaha. Hatsune. I looked this up. Krypton Future Media is who developed it. Yamaha Corporation's Vocaloid 2, 3, and 4 singing synthesizing technologies, along with Krypton's Pia Pro Studio. And so the name comes from Hatsu, which means sound, and future, which is Miku. Excuse me. First, which is Hatsu, sound, which is Ne, and future, which is Miku. So the sound of the future, the first sound of the future. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Anyway, I learned a lot. I just wanted to share that with y'all in case you didn't know this, but you probably do if you're watching this video. Okay, let's listen to Hyper Reality Show, shall we? I have the lyrics pulled up. Ooh, okay. Okay. First impressions, of course, it caught me off guard a little bit here with the extremely heavy drop. And, you know, thematically, lyrics-wise, of course, I don't know what's going on yet. All we've heard is the greatest show on earth a few times. But this imagery, I'll try not to get too lost in, but we had this sort of like static black and white monochrome sort of thing going on. And then it comes in with the color, and it still looks pretty like dystopian, a little maybe perhaps cyberpunky. We've got lines of identical people, so perhaps there's kind of a war component. There's a helicopter in the sky, a lot of crazy stuff going on. But the major thing that I'm taking away from this immediately is that we kind of have like a baby metal sort of, a dichotomy thing going on where it's, the cutesy, fun, higher range, maybe even silly at times, like vocal sound, and with, just the crunchiest, grungiest, deep bass metal sounds coming out, of the guitars and the rest of the band, right? So it's kind of a fun thing. Actually, it's really fun. And so I like it so far. I don't know where all we're going to go with this. And I certainly have no idea what the song is about. So I guess we'll get into that now. Back it up just a bit. Here we go. Mm. So it's a little hard to tell which voice is doing which lyrics, right? Because I don't speak the language. Um, by the way, I, I'm not making any promises here, but I do think that Japanese is very interesting, and I have downloaded an app to learn some katakana and things like that. So trying to at least give it a shot. Uh, if y'all are new to the channel, I have a traumatic brain injury from many years ago, and I actually lost part of my brain, badly damaged part of my brain. Part of my brain that was damaged is the part that processes language translation, things like that. So, like I took 3 years of Spanish in high school. And I learned very, very, very little in that time. And so, anyway, the verse here, I'm going to read through the lyrics sheet that I pulled instead of relying on these and just see, first of all, are they consistent? But also, uh, like I mentioned, it's kind of hard to tell who's saying what and where the division of lines are supposed to be. So, we covet money, though we know it's nothing more than paper. We toss that money in sison boxes, though we know gods are nothing more than risky business. Sison boxes. Sison box. I don't know what that is. A box for collecting offerings. A sison box is typically a wooden coin box. I should have known that from playing games like Persona and stuff. But so you toss coins in. There's like a grate to prevent people from taking stuff back out. Yeah. Okay. So offerings, offerings to the gods. Gods are nothing more than risky business. The brawl between the stalking horse and the one who drops the match happens. For some reason, in front of the cameras, at a carefully considered angle, so that her love might be fulfilled, she plagiarizes honeyed phrases from past works. Man, there's a lot in here. Okay, so do it piece by piece. I hope you're in for a long reaction because it sounds like it's going to be a long one. I'll get a drink. So we covet money, though we know it's nothing more than paper. As you might look behind me, if you recognize any of the book covers, to my left, which is your right, there's a lot of game stuff and whatnot. But to the other side, it's my other heritage, let's say, and that's economics, philosophy, psychology, those sorts of things. That's my other special interest area. And I run a financial services company. Like I help people with this sort of thing and to find ways to exist outside of the traditional financial paradigm. You go to any office anywhere in the country and you get the exact same advice from everybody. And it's very annoying because they all want to sound like they're the coolest, smartest financial bro ever. So we do something totally different. If that interests you at all, Perfect Spiral Capital is the name of my company. And you can go check us out. We have our own YouTube channel, perfectspiralcapital.com, etc. So we covet money, though we know it's nothing more than paper. Fiat money, the idea that the money is not backed by anything. You deposit money into a bank. The bank can create more money out of nothing, right? It's not anything. It's just accounting entries in a logbook, in a computer server. That's it. It's nothing more than paper. That's the idea of paper money. You had real money, things like gold and silver, and you would deposit that and you would get a paper slip hundreds of years ago saying this paper represents that you have on deposit 1 ounce of silver, 1 pound of silver, 1 pound of gold, whatever. And it's redeemable on demand. Dollar bills used to say redeemable on demand for silver. And they don't anymore. Wonder why, right? So that was money. Gold is money because it's fungible, it's able to be divided up. It's a soft metal, you can cut it, things like that. And it's pretty easy to verify if it's real or not. Lots of benefits to that, but mostly there's limited supply and it's not this weird digital product. You're gonna get into crypto and things like that. It's not hard to understand. This is gold, right? Many things have been used as money over the years, not just gold and silver, but that's consistently been chosen over the centuries because of the characteristics that it has, and that it has some industrial applications outside of simply being money. If you're interested in this, please go read Ludwig von Mises or Murray Rothbard or Friedrich Hayek or Milton Friedman or, Henry Hazlitt, and any of this stuff. It will get you in the right place. Anyway, this is setting up the first line of the song, other than the greatest show on earth, is we covet money, though we know that it's not real. There's an illusory layer to this. We toss that money in sison boxes, though we know gods are nothing more than risky business. And so we have layers of lying to ourselves. Thank you for paying me money for working this job. I know it's not real. I know this money is not real. I will offer this unreal abstraction of the idea of money to gods. You think gods take that seriously? That's an interesting question, isn't it? And the gods themselves are nothing more than risky business. They can be fickle, right? They have their whims, and perhaps they listen to you, perhaps they don't, right? My nephew and my wife and I just finished watching the show Noragami. It's my first time watching that. And the idea that God's actions are just because they are the God's actions, right? It's not justifiable according to human standards. It's a very interesting concept. There's a lot there. It's fascinating. The brawl between the stalking horse and the one who drops the match happens. I'm not quite sure I catch that reference. Stalking horse, the one who drops the match. Horses are afraid of fire. The horse stamps it out as soon as it catches, that kind of thing, perhaps. For some reason, in front of the cameras, at a carefully considered angle, so that her love might be fulfilled, she plagiarizes honeyed phrases from past works. So, the idea that for some reason there's a camera on the action that it tells us what we're supposed to feel. It's a production. If you've ever watched The Hunger Games, right? It's the idea that this is the war that we want people to see, that kind of stuff, right? We're controlling the narrative. And then the last bit, so that her love might be fulfilled, she plagiarizes honey phrases from past works. I'm not creative enough. I can't express how I feel. I'll just pull lines from Yeats or, whoever, right? Some poet from 100 years ago, Shakespeare, whatever. And I'll just use that to show how I feel. I don't need to actually compose an original thought. I'll just I'm leaning on the ideas of others, right? I think that's what all of these lines mean. Maybe not the horse, but that's the idea that I'm picking up. And so now, 13 minutes into this reaction, let's get into the second minute of the song. I hope y'all are enjoying it. I really like this. Yeah, which part is out of a script and which part is genuine? Hey, I love that little note in the freaking subtitles. That was useful. So it said, I'm so sorry, y'all. My nose is itching today. I mentioned in the last episode, the last reaction that I did, we've had a lot of prescribed fires nearby. So there's been like some ash falling into our valley where we live and stuff. So it's just makes my nose itch. Yeah, so gray color is used to express vague objects that are not black and white in Japan. I mean, I think that's used pretty universally everywhere, but okay. And so the pre-chorus, to what extent is that a screenplay, and what extent what you truly think? So there's some difference in these two sets of what part of it What part is out of a script and what part is genuine? And if you knew which is which, what would come of it? So, yeah, I think I don't need to read both versions, but the idea is, what are you doing that is just what is being given to you? Are you just quoting a YouTuber or a podcaster or me or anybody else that you watch whenever you talk to your friends? Are you just quoting? Or have you arrived at the same conclusions? Do we share values and first principles? I'm just going to pretend it's me, that because I'm a media personality in this relationship, if you want to put it that way. Okay, this is a one-sided. It is unilateral. Uni meaning one, lateral meaning sided. It is a one-sided thing. I put out myself and what I have to say. And, if you don't leave a comment, we never interact, right? I don't know how you feel about anything. But you could learn a hell of a lot about me just by watching a lot of these videos. And so it's unilateral. And so, what part of your opinions and your ideas that you put out into the world are yours in like a true sense, and what part are from a script or copied and pasted from somewhere else? Oh, well, I asked ChatGPT and then I slightly rearranged it, right? Is that your idea? I don't know, man. Now, to gather research information, sure, maybe. But to reach a conclusion is a very different thing. There's a lot of information out there. What do you pay attention to? What do you take seriously? What do you incorporate? You can't incorporate everything. You could never learn everything that happened 1 second ago if you spent the rest of your life doing it. So all historical analysis, all philosophical analysis, all that goes through filters. Because if you don't filter things, you will never finish. You cannot arrive at a conclusion based on all information. Nothing can, not even the strongest supercomputer, right? Not even quantum power can do that. And so, yeah, what is genuine? Something worth thinking about, right? Then you go into this idea, what good does it do? Even if you figure that out, even if you are enlightened enough to realize and to take a step back and to look at the greatest show on earth, which is the governance of the world's affairs, okay, well, cool, you've woken up, you've snapped out of it, you've arisen from your pod in the matrix. What good does that do? You feel better now? No, not really. It's kind of miserable knowing the truth about what's going on in the world. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. By the way, tell me, because, hey, I'm lonely, right? It is lonely to see through a lot of what's going on in the world now, in the past, and in the future. Okay, let's listen some more. We had that kind of military breakdown for a second there. Wow. So, gosh, I'm thinking about how long this is getting. So we are putting on a show, this idea that we are putting on a show for each other. Well, society expects me to act in a certain way. I need to fulfill a certain role so that I can impress a certain role that other people are playing, right? If anyone watches all of my videos, I don't know if that person exists, but if anyone watches all or even most of my videos, you've heard me talk about the persona and the self and the shadow, Jungian psychology, psychoanalysis, whatever you would like to say. Jungian psychology, the idea that you have a true self. There are aspects to your personality, and you do not get to necessarily control what those are. There are things that you are: the spirit, the soul, the self. Those things have a dark side that you want to suppress. That is your shadow. You act as though you do not have those characteristics because you consider them to be bad. And so you typically will project those bad things into other people and accuse other people of things that you're mad about existing in yourself, right? But then the persona is the thing that you show to people because you want them to see a certain version of you, not the you that really is. Everyone does this. Everyone. Not me. I've seen through everything. Stop right there. You do it too. And in some situations, some of the time, you do this. But that persona, right, is shaped in part by societal expectations, cultural expectations, right? I need to be in this certain way. I need to act in this certain way. I need to speak in this certain way, dress in this certain way, etc., in order to fit some sort of, not necessarily unspoken, but a ill-defined standard, right? There is things that are and are not in alignment, and you will know what they are. Society will tell you, right? If you act out of line, society will encourage you to get back in line, right? Those kind of things. And so, where is that? It's not a demarcation that can be easily observed. It's not, this is part of the standard. This is not part of the standard. Sometimes it is, but in most cases it's not. It's like, well, you could kind of push the boundary a little and people wouldn't do much. They wouldn't raise an eyebrow. If you push it a little too much, where is that line? Who knows? The idea of the gray that we just had in the last verse. We're thoroughly enjoying this gray. And so then we're searching for the zippers on the mascot costumes, right? To go back to Jungian stuff, it's the mask. How do I get this thing off of my face? How do I figure out where I am and where society's expectations begin? How do I get the gray into a black and white so I can see what is what? Because we want to be goody two-shoes is what it says over here. Obedient little one is what it says in the video. So good. So good. Song is awesome. Yeah, I'm a character in a play, in a show. Uma? A cryptid? Seems uncomfortable to be a cryptid or a ghost. Seems uncomfortable to be a Uma. What is an Uma? Uma. When I search that, it just says Uma Thurman. Or United Motor Coach Association. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Okay, what is an Uma? Please help me with that. Looks like it's pretty uncomfortable to be an Uma, U-M-A, or ghost. Okay, so I guess we're all just being controlled by the whims of Hatsune Miku. That's hilarious. Yeah, what good does it do? I really like asking that question on the nose. I really like that. So this is going places I didn't expect it to go. Uh, Sorry, dead air. Let me back it up. So the planet is a farce, humanity itself is a troop. There's no need for the fools who don't get it. I get it. Uh, it's very easy whenever you start to become aware of the layers and layers of conditioning, propaganda, things like that that exist. They do exist. It's look up the Prussian education model. Read the book Education Free and Compulsory by Murray Rothbard. It's not even that long. It's like 60 pages. Um, you know, once you start to understand some of these things and the origin of some of these things, you can't unsee that. And it's very easy to adopt an air of superiority. I am intelligent. I am immune to advertising. I know what is going on. And that is such a dangerous attitude to have because the people who think they are immune are typically the very first ones to get suckered right in, right, by something because they think that they can't be suckered in. There's no one easier to sell than a salesman. If you've never heard that expression, it's very true, right? You'd think, well, gosh, I know all the sales techniques, but nope. It doesn't make you resistant. It doesn't make you resistant to know them. What difference does it make, as the song might say? So I really like that. And then we get into, right where I paused it, we get into this idea that God and love and things that, all of these representations, they don't even exist. Now, that is a question that I will say is certainly open and that there are certainly opinions on these matters. But within the context of the song, right, we have this smirking, ruling class person in front of a crowd of identical or near identical people, right, controlling, overseeing, shaping the will of the population, right? And so, what is permissible and what isn't? They're all wearing black and white, they're all uniformed, they're told what is and isn't acceptable, and they're, you know, whether gladly or not, they are participating in this process, right? Whether it's to preserve their own lives or whether it's just because it's easier to, go along to get along, that kind of thing. But this ruling person certainly is not acting in that way, right? She is able to wear what she wants to wear, right? And why is that? Because there's this casted society where the rulers can dictate what things like godliness or love, acceptable love is, those sorts of things. Is it even a human emotion? Is it even a human will to want religion? Or is it just a Santa Claus myth that's perpetuated throughout the ages by people who unwittingly prop up the existing narrative? I'm not giving you answers to these questions. I'm just saying that's what the song is saying, right? It's pretty cool. Ugh, dark. Yeah, ad lib. Back and forth ad lib. So, right, what is an ad lib? It's like a script, and then there's certain words that you get to put in, right? But you don't get to control what's going on. You're not really the one in charge here, right? You just kind of make it your version. Haha, isn't that funny? I use this silly word here when you expected me to say something else. Haha. But 90% of the script, 95, 97% of the script is exactly the same as the next person. And, those things can get pretty old pretty fast. They're kind of silly for 1 or 2 times, but they can become pretty old. And that's what the song asserts here, is that a lot of society's interactions are that. This song is fiction. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, it's totally fictional, huh? That is so funny. That little bit there right at the end, talking about wanting to remain gray, like a lovely or dreamy gray. I'm looking at the opposite here. So it's the printed lyrics on Genius Lyrics say, even if Earth is converted to an unromantic binary, it's before your very eyes that I want to stay a dreamy gray. So I don't want to, get into this, is it compliant or is it not compliant sort of mindset. I don't want to be the obedient one that follows every dictate of society's whims. I want to be in this place where we can be ourselves, right? In between those, the dreamy gray. Very cool. Very cool. The end with this song as a work of fiction is hilarious. It's like the most political, on the nose, book or video commentary that you've ever seen talking about politics. And it starts with, this is a work of fiction. Any relation to real events or organizations or people is purely coincidental. Exactly what the words are, I forget, but that kind of thing. It's like, really, it's purely coincidental, huh? Okay, I see. Um, it's a legal checkbox, right, to stay compliant. Kind of a funny thing. This song was awesome. The music was really good. The, syncopation, the industrial kind of stuff, as far as the playing goes, very nice, very good. Like, I would have enjoyed the song without lyrics, but obviously the lyrics is kind of where we wanted to focus today, because there's a lot there. There's a lot to chew on. It's my kind of stuff. So, gosh, coming back to Earth now, Marukai 33, thank you again very, very much. I hope you enjoyed this reaction. I hope you enjoyed my picking apart the lyrics, and I hope you stuck around for the whole 33 and a half minutes, or almost 34 minutes, that I've been recording. I really appreciate you. If you, the viewer, have a donation request, then please head on over to Buy Me a Coffee, and you can do that there. You can also be a member of the channel if you choose to do that. That starts at $1, and then you get access to like my original music and some stuff like that. So check it out. I really appreciate you. I appreciate each and every one of you for watching this. Until next time, the right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world.